Hey, what's up guys? Mr. Dan here, back again. This is my wrap-up video for the AIP Teenage Horror series of films. And yes, apparently I do own other t-shirts besides Iron Maiden t-shirts. I actually found a bunch of my t-shirts, so I'm excited to change up the rotation a little bit. Speaking of science, today we're talking about mad scientists and, in one case, a mad makeup artist. This is the ranking and wrap-up video for my reviews for the AIP Teenage Horror series of films. Please check out those reviews. I Was a Teenage Werewolf, I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, and How to Make a Monster, which features both of the characters from the two previous films. These films are fun. They're short, less than an hour and a half. Some musical numbers thrown in. A lot of, they were catered to teenagers in the 50s. They're a lot of fun. A lot of good, I have to say. Plot holes aside, some pretty good actors in these all around. So we're going to get into it a little bit. I'm just going to sort of make up some rankings off the top of my head. I also watched an episode of Highway to Heaven called I Was a Middle Aged Werewolf. But we'll get into that in a minute. Bonus review of a TV episode for another show that I never watched when it was on. Anyway, I really enjoyed these films. These were a lot of fun. Less than an hour and a half. Really good actors. Better movies than you think they're going to be. All three of them. Pretty good effects and makeup work. Of course, the third one pays an homage to all makeup artists and makeup efforts, which was really cool. I love to see that. But anyway, let's just get into it. My favorite one. After I saw I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, I was like real high on it. I was like, wow, that was really good because I had never seen it before. Teenage Werewolf, I had memories of it from when I was a kid. But then I also saw the Mystery Science Theater episode. So that one was a lot more fresh. And then I started to think about it. I was like, yeah, I think I Was a Teenage Werewolf's a little better. So that will be above Teenage Frankenstein. But wait a minute. I love the third one, How to Make a Monster. These are so close. It's not like one is way, I've since watched 3 or 4 AIP movies. All of them are under these, below these. And some of them are fun, and I will review some of them. But, oh boy. Boy, this is hard. Okay, I'll go I Was a Teenage Werewolf, How to Make a Monster, and I Was a Teenage Frankenstein. But they're very close. They're very close. I love the third one, so that tells you something. Okay. Favorite sort of lead actor. Of course, we have 3 actors playing 2 characters. Michael Landon, and then Gary Clark played the werewolf, and then Gary Conway played the Frankenstein's monster twice, if you followed that. Now, just the funny thing about Gary Clark. I prefer Michael Landon. I think he's better as the teenage werewolf, but Gary Clark had a pretty good career. He was actually in Tombstone, and just like Gary Conway, he did some writing as well. Pretty interesting guy to look up and read about. But of the 3, I'll go Michael Landon. He really imbues the character with a lot of depth and sympathy, and it's a very good portrayal. The other guys are good too. Michael Landon, he's the best sort of lead monster. And it reminded me of a performance of his on The Rifleman. He's in an early episode in the first season where I think he's like trying to be like a would-be outlaw, but he's having some doubts. Very kind of similar, guy who's having some doubts and some inner conflicts. Pretty good. Now, the antagonist. Who's the best antagonist? We got Whit Bissell twice, playing 2 different characters. Great actor. Really took both of these roles seriously. And then here's me forgetting the name of Robert H. Harris, who plays Pete in How to Make a Monster. He was excellent. I can't believe I forgot his name. To rank them, I guess I would have to go Whit Bissell in I Was a Teenage Frankenstein. Like I said, I think he has a little more to do in that one. And then I would go Robert Harris in How to Make a Monster. And then I would go Whit Bissell in I Was a Teenage Werewolf, which might be surprising to some people. But again, they're all 3 performances are very close. Both actors are excellent. Now, my favorite assistant. There's 3 assistants in this, without a doubt. Paul Brininger from How to Make a Monster. Like I said, I couldn't stop staring at that giant noggin of his. I couldn't take my eyes off him. He was a lot of fun in the third one. The other 2 guys were pretty good too. So that's it for the rankings. just as far as random other actors that were in here, I mean, you had Maura Sankum in one of them. You have an actor named Malcolm Attlebury. He was in Teenage Werewolf and How to Make a Monster, 2 different characters. He was pretty good, and I've since seen him in a few other AIP films. But I knew him from the Mystery Science Theater episode of High School Big Shot, where he played the father. He plays these like sad sack characters really well, so he was pretty good. I hadn't mentioned him before in the other reviews. But let me just nominate a Best Supporting Actor from the whole series. What's her name? Phyllis Coates from I Was a Teenage Frankenstein is really good, and the ladies are kind of underrepresented in this whole series. I'll give her like the runner-up. She would later go on to play Lois Lane. She was very good, but I'll have to go with Barney Phillips, the detective from I Was a Teenage Werewolf. He's really good, Twilight Zone veteran. And I think Malcolm Attlebury would be in a couple of Twilight Zone episodes as well. But that's pretty much the ranking. What are your thoughts, guys? Let me know in the comments below how you would rank these. If you don't remember everything, that's fine. Who are some of your favorite characters? Let me know. And then let's review the I Was a Middle Aged Werewolf episode of Highway to Heaven. So apparently Michael Landon didn't want to come back for How to Make a Monster because he was embarrassed and he was teased by other actors, which I touched on. Well, apparently he got over it by, the 80s. You know, Highway to Heaven was a show that was on all the time. I was aware of it. It wasn't something I was interested in watching at the time, but it seems like it would be a fun show to go back and visit now. Also a big fan of Victor French. So this episode was pretty good. It takes place on Halloween night. Would be a really fun episode to watch around Halloween time. And Victor French's character is watching I Was a Teenage Werewolf on TV, which is pretty funny. Michael Landon goes out to, I forget what he does. He's walking around the block. He runs into this kid who's having a problem, being bullied and left behind on Trick or Treat. His parents are like, your sister could take you, and then his sister abandons the kid, and he's afraid of a certain house, and Michael Landon helps him out. Happy ending. The parents are like, we need to pay more attention to our son. Meanwhile, Victor French falls asleep watching I Was a Teenage Werewolf and has a few nightmares, and they actually repeat some of the scenes again and again. But he's got a werewolf coming through the wall, and then he calls the police, and there's a cop running up the fire escape, and he looks up, and it's Michael Landon in his middle-aged werewolf makeup. It's a fun episode. It's a goofy episode. I mean, at the end, they break the fourth wall and say Happy Halloween. Definitely a fun episode to watch. I really kind of enjoyed watching it, and I'm kind of glad that Michael Landon kind of came to terms with the character, because it's a pretty fun movie. Anyway, there's the whole wrap-up video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, come back for more Martial Arts Mondays, Physical Media Fridays, horror movie reviews. We got some Eurocrime reviews coming, and even more AIP horror movie reviews. So please come back. Thanks a lot. Check you later. Fiendish, frenzied, blood-chilling, nothing like this in all the history of horror. Body of a boy, mind of a monster, and the soul of an unearthly thing.